Welcome to Money Conversations with KJ. KJ is a lifelong entrepreneur who's made a lot of money, lost a lot of money, and found his way back again. If you're looking for a sterile how-to, you're in the wrong place. KJ and his guests will walk you through real-life situations told by the people who live them, and they are as messy as they are inspiring. Each episode will offer lessons learned, advice on how to replicate successes and avoid pitfalls, and a new perspective to power your financial literacy. Far from a one-size-fits-all, this podcast can help you build a roadmap to your personal promised land. Milk and honey for some, whiskey and steak for others, and remind you that you're not alone on this journey.
Well, hello. Welcome back to another episode. I think we're episode number 9 today, which is really exciting. They're going so fast and so awesome. But today's guest is a super special guest. I know I tell everybody I have a special guest, but this is super special because it's my daughter. And my daughter, Faith. Hi, Faith.
Hi, Dad.
So awesome to have you here to tell your story because we both know, a lot of people we know personally know your story and everybody's very inspired by it. So I just want to do this podcast and that's what it's all about, is to inspire people out there through learning financial literacy and what they're doing or not doing with their money. So I'm very excited about it.
Me too.
So let's talk with the audience first. I have 4 kids. Faith is my youngest. She's 21. She just turned 21 in July, but she bought her first condo in February, so she was 20. But I don't want to start there yet. That's like the end of the story.
Right.
Let's start with the beginning of the story. You and I started talking. I started to teach you things about money and financial literacy back around when you were around 15. Tell me what you remember.
Well, that was 6 years ago. But I remember you first coming to me, telling me to read like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and other books along, those lines. And I remember being 15, like, why is he teaching me this? Like, I'm just a kid. I just want to go out and with my friends and, do whatever.
Yeah, I was setting you up though. And I think you were 15 also when I took you to that, I was doing a boot camp for some real estate stuff. And at that boot camp was a side-by-side boot camp for kids. Do you remember that boot camp?
Yes, that's when I was 17.
Oh, that was 17.
Yes.
Okay. So at 15, you're wondering, why am I teaching you this? Try to share with me what are some of the, if you can remember, what are some of the first lessons that you started actually learning and soaking in?
One video that you had me watch, I don't remember the guy's name, but I just will never forget how much he was talking about your value when you're working, like you bringing value to whatever job that you have. And that's always stuck with me and like resonated with me through the jobs that I have now to, make more money and excel and go up the ladder.
Yeah, that was Jim Rohn. Unbelievable. Yeah, I have watched hours and hours of Jim Rohn. And, that's awesome to understand at 15 that really soaked in for you, because it really is one of the most invaluable lessons that Jim Rohn has ever taught. And he's taught thousands of lessons. But when people can realize when you're out there trading time for money, right? You get paid X dollars per hour. It's not about that. You get paid for the value that you bring to any position you're going to have in your whole life. And people, the more value you can bring, whether it's a job or entertainers have to entertain, right? If you're a really good entertainer, you're going to make a lot more money than an entertainer who's not really that good, right? So they're just bringing more value to any given situation. So that's an awesome lesson to have learned at 15 and retained it. Let me ask you, have you ever had that type of conversation with any of your peers?
If I have, I started the conversation because they don't really have the same like mindset that I do. I feel like I've kind of taught my friends some stuff that you've taught me.
Which is good. I think, I talk a lot about with some of the other guests that, we can get our financial literacy education from all different places, right? Mom, dad, aunts, uncles, friends, wherever. So it's awesome that if you're sharing those lessons that I've taught you with peers, younger people. See if they take them in, don't take them in. Obviously, time will tell, right, through your peers what they're doing or not doing with their money. So that's just creating a mindset around money, right, and what to do in life and how to give value. It's just an awesome lesson. So after you learned that lesson, you weren't quite working yet, right? You weren't old enough to actually get a job.
Yeah.
But your first job, I remember you wanting to get a job, but you couldn't. You weren't old enough.
Yeah, I was 17, and I walked around the downtown Summerlin Mall, and I walked into every single store and asked them if they were hiring. And they were like, actually, I was 16. And they said, almost all of them said you had to be 18. And I was like, well, I guess I'll be back in a year.
I'll be back. Yeah. It's unfortunate. And that's working that type of a job, a retail or whatever. It's difficult for a lot of kids to do that. For like boys, we go out and mow lawns and do paper routes and that kind of stuff. But you were excited. Why were you so excited to get a job?
I don't know. I've always wanted to, or I've always liked the idea of like being an adult and like being independent and doing things on my own. So knowing that I could go out and work hard and make money for myself was something exciting that I really wanted to get started.
Okay. All right. So you were just excited. You were a real young, not quite adult yet, getting ready to be a young adult, wanting to be that young adult. I wonder if, your siblings, there's a pretty good age gap between you and your siblings, right? You've always been the youngest one around the house. Did that kind of make you want to be an adult sooner than later? Because some kids don't even ever want to grow up, right? They just want to stay 15.
Yeah. I do think that probably did play a factor into it. Also because all my cousins and all my siblings, they are all roughly so much older than me, and they're all the same age. So maybe I think I always just wanted to fit in with them. And
you wanted to catch up.
And catch up with them, yes.
So for some of you guys that are out there, and there's plenty of families out there that have age gap and siblings, right? Your brothers and sisters. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. You've learned a lot of great things from having older siblings, right?
Yeah.
I think the last child of any family has the most benefit because they've got to see the good, the bad, and the ugly of what's going on with the other siblings. Like, well, I ain't going to do that. Or, oh man, I got to replicate that. Right.
Yeah.
So then we'll skip up to where, okay, finally you got old enough to go get a job, to go make money.
Yeah. I was 17. I started working at Kohl's. I only worked there for a couple months and I made $9 an hour. And I remember that you told me that I had to save 50% of my check. No matter how much I made, 50% had to be saved. And I think you telling me that for my first job really instilled in me to this day that I need to save. I love to save as much as I can. I can't save 50% anymore, but I mean, that's what started me wanting to save so much money.
Well, because I knew that at that time, like you didn't need any money, right? You were under my roof. I took care of everything. And we talked the lessons about needs and wants, right? And I think you were sharing with me not too long ago about that lesson, because that lesson was taught right when you started working. And so how do you treat your daily life now with that lesson?
Now? Well, now I'm more of an adult and I have real bills that I need to pay. And then there's, makeup that comes out and I'm like, I want it, but do I need it? And then I can hear you in my head going, yeah, you don't need that.
That's what I was hoping you were saying, because it was funny when you told me that for the first time. I'm like, I'm still in her head. I'm still in her head. Yes. But I remember the lessons when I was young and I had voices in my head telling me, do this, don't do that. And I think we all grow up knowing right from wrong. That's a pretty basic one. But the fact that you're keeping it is great. So let's travel through time here. So you get that job at Kohl's, and that was, I remember, it was, what do you call it, during Christmas, right? So they always hire extra people during Christmas time because they're busy. And so we knew that was a short-term deal. You weren't going to be there forever, whatever, and you went and made a few bucks. But what were some of the good key lessons that you learned at that job that you still take away today?
Accountability, punctuality, and just working hard, stuff like that. When it's your first job, you're learning everything for the first time of what it's like to be like in the working field. And
just working with people, right? Having to serve people because they're there to, customer service. They're there to buy stuff, and you got to be pleasant and nice and all of those things. And we all know that not everybody is pleasant and nice, right? So you have to just kind of suck that up and be as pleasant as possible. So yeah, that was a short-term deal. And then from there, I think it was springtime or something, you went and found your second job. Where was that?
My second job I didn't get until right after I turned 18. And that was at Windsor at downtown Summerlin.
What's Windsor?
Just a girly clothing store. They sell like special occasion dresses and stuff.
Okay. What kind of lessons did you learn over there?
There is where I really started to become a team player, and I knew that I loved to work because I got called in a lot, and I was always down to go. I was hungry for the money, for the work.
Okay. All right. And then we at that time, I remember before you're 18, like almost any kid that's getting ready to graduate high school and be 18, they want to just go spread their wings and be on their own. And you were telling me, Dad, I'm moving out when I turn 18, and your birthday's in July. And I said, what did I tell you?
Well, it was like 2 or 3 weeks before my 18th birthday, and I was like, I'm moving out. But I didn't have a job at the time. And you were like, really? Okay, well, that costs money. So let's break down, roughly rent and, power, this and that, yada, yada, yada. You need to make this much money a week and in a month, and you make nothing right now. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I need to actually go make money. I can't just leave and move out.
Exactly. I think it was a great lesson. And that's a great life lesson in anything we may want. I mean, we can want a lot of things. People want nicer cars, vacations, bigger houses, all that kind of stuff. And it's great to have those goals. But I think if people would just break them down first, like, okay, I want X, Y, Z. Okay, how much is it? What's it going to take for me to get that, whatever that may be? Vacation, material thing, car, house, clothing, whatever. And then right? Then you just map it out. And that's what goals are all about, right? My goal is X, Y, Z. So then I remember, okay, you figured that one out. I got to go work. And that's why you were saving money. But one of the things when we broke that down, if you remember, share with me what you remember when we broke those things down, the dollars, and what went through your mind and what would you tell yourself?
It's a lot harder than I thought.
How?
Because of the money that I needed. You have to go work for money.
Right. So was it hard because how much were you making over when you went from Kohl's over to that Windsor?
When I was working at Windsor, I only made $8.25.
Minimum wage.
Minimum wage.
Tips?
Nope.
No tips. Minimum wage. And you wanted to move out. So if we start doing math, do you remember the numbers when we put them together? How much it was going to take?
No.
It was like $1,200 or $1,400 a month minimum because you didn't have any other bills, right?
Yeah.
So we figured that. So I'm like, okay, how are you going to make $1,200 to $1,400 a month just to pay bills? Let alone you still have to save, right? Because let's get into one of the things when you started to work. I had you open an account. What type of an account did I have you open?
A Roth IRA.
Yeah. Explain to the audience why I had you open a Roth IRA.
Well, I opened it right at 18, which is like the best time to open it because time is money. Time is of the essence. And so I've been putting money in, or the maximum that you can put in every year. And you do that for 7 years, right?
Well, that's one lesson. I mean, you could put it in your whole life, but I'll break the lesson down for everybody out there. Okay. At 18 years old, if you max out your Roth IRA for 7 years and then never put another dime in it, when you're 62 years old, you're going to have about $1.8 million. So at your age, you could put $6,000, right? So $6,000 at 7 years, how much money is that?
$42,000.
$42,000 and then you never put another dime in, now compound interest takes place, and you will have $1.8 million roughly at 62. That's pretty sweet. So, but picture and imagine, like, you're doing well. Let me just keep funding it. What do you think that could grow to?
Double that, triple that, right?
Exactly. Double, triple, quadruple if you just kept maxing out, right? Mm-hmm. So, but the best thing about the Roth IRA is that when it is time, right, to cash out, that's all tax-free money.
Yes.
Tax-free money, because we fund our Roth IRAs with our after-tax dollars after you cash your check, right? And that's how you do it. Share with them, and this isn't an endorsement, but I'm going to have you share with who it's with, and then how easy it is for you to track it via the app.
So mine is with Vanguard, and on my app I can just look at it and it'll tell me how much % of the year that I have done, how much I have total, the investments, going up and down.
Yep.
Everything like that.
Yeah. Because I know, like right now, I had you invest, and we won't get deep into that particular stock that we invested in, and we're waiting for that stock to do what it's supposed to do, because that's the one thing with the Roth IRA is that you can invest with those dollars that are in there. Mm-hmm. They don't just have to sit there, right? You could, like, in your lifetime, things could come up, right? You're like, hey, I'm going to invest in that. And you're going to invest in those things that you don't need that money, right? You just want to, I like to call turbocharge your account. Let's not just rely on compound interest and the maximum that you can put in, which is $6,000, right? This is how you accelerate those accounts to grow, so you'll have a lot of money. So you've been maxing it out now. I think we're on year 3, right? Mm-hmm. Halfway through year 3. Yeah. Where are you at?
How much money do I have in there?
What's your percentage
for
the year?
I think it's at like 60.
Yeah. Okay. There's, again, now the great thing about the Roth is, so this is October, so you got roughly 90 days left, right? And I know you're funding it. That if you don't quite hit that by December 31st, it's okay, because the provision within the Roth IRA is you actually technically have until April 15th of the following year to finish catching up the previous year, which is a pretty good provision to have, because stuff happens for people out there and you're like, oh man, I really want to max out, but I had XYZ come up, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, listen, continue to do that, because think about it. You're only a few months out to being 50% of the way there, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. What's the next account that I shared with you that I'd like to see you open?
An index fund.
Right. So let's go back to, okay, you went from Windsor, and then an opportunity arose for you.
Yes, there was a pizzeria next to Windsor, and I used to go there every day, and I would see security always in there, and I would talk to them, and they'd be like, you should come work here, be a dispatcher, and it would be $12 an hour. And I was like, making $8.25, $12 sounded amazing. I was like, sold. What do I have to do? So I got in, I started working there. I still work there. End of the story is I still work there. I've gotten a couple of raises over the years. And now I make $15 an hour.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, well, so I think the lesson here is that, one, obviously at $8.25, everybody wants to make more money. But an opportunity arose. And I think life is nothing but opportunities, but recognizing when they do come, because I think a lot of people, opportunities come up, but they don't recognize that it's an actual opportunity, right? And then that you should take advantage of any and all opportunities, right? Because we're going to talk about one of these other opportunities that arose that you took advantage of. So, okay, so you're working, you're doing your thing, you're still living at home with mom and me, and you're cruising along, and then you're like, you still wanted to move out, and then what did we talk about after that? About getting your first place.
Like what I was going to do, like wanted to buy a place.
Yeah, remember we talked to the conversation about buying not a house, because I knew that you wouldn't be able to qualify for a full house, but a condo. Yeah. Yeah, because you were still here at the house, and you had shared with me, you had a pretty decent amount saved, right? And you save so much money because you really don't have no bills, just your basics. I had you start paying your phone bill yourself, but I take care of everything else. So before we could buy a house, one of the things that we had to do was to get your credit established. Remember that?
Yeah.
Talk to the people because I'm going to jump forward and then jump back, is you bought your condo all on your own 100%. I mean, Mom and I were the representing agents, but you bought it. In order to do that, you have to have enough credit to do that and money. And so when I taught you the credit lesson, share with the audience here the credit lesson I taught you and how you were able to build your credit over time. So when it came time to buy your condo, you qualified.
Well, I started off with just a credit card, and you taught me to use it on, well, basically everything. As soon as I got a credit card, you said, don't use your debit card anymore. So I started to use that. My limit rose. I got another credit card, did the same thing, got another credit card, but I self-disciplined myself to spend within my means, even though, I have this limit of so much money. I only spend as much as I know I can actually spend, that I can actually pay back. So when you do that, plus how many years of credit that you have, which also really helps, that by the time I was 20, then it was good.
Yeah. No, we taught you. You remember your very first credit card?
I still have it.
So, but how did you get that card? Because you didn't have any credit.
I think it was it came in the mail because...
No, it's called a secured card, remember? We had to put money on there. A secured credit card is when you put the money up first. And so that's how your first one was. They said you don't have any credit, so nobody will give you one. So they always start with, okay, get a secured credit card for typically $200, maybe $300. You'll get a secured card. And then you had that card for roughly 4 months, and then they extended you credit. You didn't have to have the secured credit. You didn't have to give them money. But the reason we did that is because I showed you how to, okay, you're going to give them the $200. I think it was just $200. You're going to give them the $200, but then you're going to start to pay for your gas and your lunch or whatever on your card. And then I had you pay it off every 2 weeks. Remember that? And I said that you had to pay these things off. You can't just pay the minimum because they're small anyway at the time. And then I remember when you said, "Hey, Dad, in the mail they said now," and they gave me a $500 credit limit. You remember that? Right. And do you remember how long you had that $500 credit limit for?
A couple of months, maybe 6 months or something.
And they raised it to
1,000.
1,000. But they did that because, like you were saying, exactly, you were doing what? Just spending the money you were going to spend anyway, right? Gas, your food, your phone bill. I don't know that you had any other bills in that really. But you were just spending that couple of $100 a month and paying it right back before the bill was actually due. So that showed a pattern of responsibility with your card. So refresh my memory on your second credit card. When did you get your second one?
I got I remember it was September of 2018.
You were
19.
So probably 6 months, full year after the first one?
I think so.
Yeah.
Almost a year.
And then that one gave you how much of a limit, right out of the gate?
I think 1,000.
1,000. Yeah. So now you got 2 credit cards, 1,000 each, $2,000, but you don't spend anywhere near $2,000.
Right.
But do you remember the reason I had you get that second card?
No.
So you have 2 cards, $1,000 limit each, $2,000 of limit. And remember the 30% rule?
Yes.
Explain the 30% rule.
Only spend 30% of whatever your limit is. That's better.
Maximum, right? And it's not the limit of each card, it's 30% of total. So now you were able to, if you have $2,000 worth of credit cards, 30% is $600. You could spend up to $600 and not damage your credit in any way. Okay. Which you don't really spend that money. So you were okay. So you kept building. And then I know you got your credit score to a certain point, which I knew qualified for a certain card, because then we started to look at cards that had the cards with the benefits, right? Mm-hmm. So what was the card that gave you your first benefit?
My Discover card.
Yeah. Yeah. I love Discover. They're one of the ones that give the most money cash back. They're a little harder to get than some of the other ones because you definitely have to have minimum 720 credit score to get that Discover card. But I think now that's it. That's just the 3 cards you have, right?
I have an Apple credit card too.
Oh, I remember that. That's more of a convenience card, and that one's new. And I don't know a lot about it other than, it's there. But now you're just a little over 21. And how much money do you have if you add all 4 credit cards up together worth of limits?
Maybe 7,000 or 8,000, I think.
7,000 or 8,000. Yeah. So now you build up enough credit. Obviously, you don't need anything, but if your card were to break down, you could put it on that if you didn't have it. But I know you've been a really good saver. Let's go through the process of when you said, hey, let's buy Dad, I found a condo. I want to buy it. Do you remember how that process went?
Yes, it's a long process.
What do you mean by that? Don't scare people.
No, it's not a scary process. It's just, it takes some time. But first, you have to apply for it so that you have to tell them the loan company, right?
Yeah.
Apply for how much money you make, your credit, how long you've been at your job. You have to be at your job for 2 years.
Yeah. So it was funny. So they told us what you qualified for, and then we went shopping. Mm-hmm. But being that I'm in real estate and I flip homes, what type of home did I tell you that I wanted you to find?
A condo.
Besides that?
Like a renovated condo? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Yeah. We wanted to I wanted to make sure that Faith went out there. She had enough money to buy the home, but not a lot of excess cash. To a lot of people, when you buy a house, you got to go in there and fix this, that, or whatever, and you could spend another thousands of dollars, repairing anything. So I said, you keep looking, and when you find one that's been fully renovated and it's in your price point, and obviously location was key, that's the one we'll look at seriously. Mm-hmm. So then I remember you called and he said, Dad, I found it. I said, what'd you find? And then you showed me.
Mm-hmm. Well, I for weeks, I spent every day on Zillow just looking at all these condos in the area that I wanted. So when I found the one that I really liked, I was so excited. And I was like, we have to go see it. We went there. I fell in love with it. And I was like, I need it sold. I'm moving in.
So then we started the process. So for some of you guys out there, think about this. Here's a 20-year-old young lady who's working at a job that makes $15 an hour. Now, she was there 2 years. And at the same timeline, built her credit up from 0 to where are you sitting at now?
About like 745, 750.
Yeah, 750, which is more than enough to buy a house. So you did that all on your own. I said, okay. And then we found it. Okay, now it's time to buy it. Well, lucky for you, Mom and Dad are real estate agents. So we went out there, and Mom and I are representing agents on there, and we got you involved in a down payment assistance program because you're a first-time home buyer. Mm-hmm. How much money did that save you?
Thousands.
Yes. So I'm going to go ahead and break down the numbers if you're okay with it. Okay. So the condo was $164,000, right? 2-bedroom, 2-bath, fully renovated. This thing was gone through from top to bottom, floors, the whole new kitchen, cabinets, bathroom cabinets, tile showers. I mean, a very nicely done place. Mm-hmm. So that's why I felt good about, okay, this is a good purchase. You'll go ahead with that. And then we got you involved in the down payment assistance program because you qualified because you're a first-time home buyer, right? Which means that they put down the down payment. You don't have to. Now, that doesn't mean that you need zero money to buy a house because you still need money. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what kind of money that you needed?
Like the closing costs?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Still going to have to pay for closing cost. Typically on whatever you're buying, it's about 1.5%, right? So Faith was able to get in there, $164,000 condo, get the down payment assistance program to do the down payment of the 3.5%. Then she had closing costs. Now, we went through there. Can you remember what was the total money out of your pocket to buy this place?
No. maybe like 2,000, I think.
You were like $2,500.
Yeah.
So for $2,500, and she was prepared though. She had $10,000. She's like, no, I have the down payment, but I'm like, I says, matter of fact, we talked about it because there is a difference of monthly payment if you put the money down yourself or you do the down payment assistance program. Remember that conversation?
Yes.
How'd that go?
We were very iffy. I wanted to pay less monthly, but then you said save all your money now and just pay a little bit more every month instead of, paying it all for the down payment. So that's what we decided then, is to keep all my money that I have now and just pay a little bit more every month.
Yeah. So the difference was, I remember the numbers because I'm a numbers guy. I remember all the numbers. So the difference was, if it had Faith put down the actual down payment money in cash and her closing costs, she would have been out of pocket about almost $9,000. And I says, well, Faith, if we do the down payment assistance program, you're only going to be out of pocket $2,500. And the extra amount of the payment was $65 per month. And I says, well, let's do the math, because you're not going to live there alone. You're going to have a roommate who basically is going to pay half of your mortgage, right? I says, I'd rather you stay cash rich than be cash poor and equity rich, right? Mm-hmm. Because we never know what, life is going to hand to us. And it's always better to have cash put away, cash working, right? So I thought it was a good move at this particular juncture where you're at, because you really didn't have any bills, your car's paid for and you don't have no debt, and that's why you're able to qualify. So just for you listening out there, she qualified 3 factors. 1, job, 2 years. 2, had the credit, which was at the time like 730 or something. And 3, that she could qualify for that down payment assistance program and save her cash. That's what made the equation really work well. So here you are, 20 years old, got your first condo, and I think back, obviously a very, very proud dad that you had the work ethic to save and the mindset of money and how it works to be able to get yourself that, because you're going to be one of very, very, very few people that will never pay rent. Most people pay rent for a while before they're able to buy their first house, whether it's a condo or a single family home, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So your money from the age of 20, we fast forward and you're 40 or 50 years old, you're like, my money's always been working for me in my life. I've never paid rent and thrown the money away.
Right.
And I think that's a phenomenal feat. I'm very happy, very happy. It's great. It's great. So, okay. So we got that condo. You're super excited, but here she is buying a condo, and basically all she had was whatever was in her bedroom, right?
Yeah.
So now we started to you had to go shopping.
I had to fill a whole condo.
And that's why I had you save that cash and doing the down payment assistance program, because if we didn't do that and you had to spend all that cash, then you really would have wiped yourself out cash-wise, having to, get couches and plates and all the other stuff you need when you go living on your own, right? Mm-hmm. So now, what's this, October? So you've been in your condo 6 months. How is it?
Like 7 months, 8 months.
8 months.
But it's great.
It's great?
Yeah, I love it. COVID, kind of made things a little bit more difficult. But other than that, I pay my mortgage every month. I pay my bills every month. I go to work
Well, you were lucky because your position in the security world, right, as a dispatch, even though the mall basically closed down, right, you still had to be there because there had to be security walking around, making sure no one was coming around and breaking into stores or whatever. So you didn't actually lose your position. I think, did you lose like a day of work or something for a
couple of weeks? Yeah, I lost a couple hours.
Yeah.
But then they came back.
Yeah, they came back. So for you, it was pretty good, And COVID didn't shut the world completely down. It shut it down, 50%. But coming back, and now you're back strong now. So let's talk about, share the people what your goals are, because I know you don't want to live in that condo forever. It's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. It's roughly almost 1,000 square feet, but that's not your forever home, is it?
No, definitely not. Definitely, hopefully in the next 3 years, I'm shooting for, I want to buy an actual house, a single family home.
What are you going to do with this condo?
I would love to keep it and rent it out and have it keep working for me.
That's the game plan. That's definitely excellent because, look, you're barely 21. If I can fast forward 10 years, and by the time you're 30, you've owned this condo 10 years, you've rented it more than you ever lived in it, and it's cash flowing and building equity. It's a great investment. And then whatever single family we end up finding you later, right, that's also working for you. So I think it's financially, it's a great position to be in at your age. Most people are probably 30 or late 20s before they're in the position that you're in. So it's a fantastic position. But share with the audience, because has it been hard for your mindset of money around your peers who maybe don't have the same mindset of money? What do they say to you?
During the whole process of me buying my condo, a lot of my friends were really excited and, proud and happy for me. Even a lot of my family, they were all very excited and happy and proud.
Okay. No, as we are. Again, I think if you ever see any 20-year-old buying some sort of a property, you're like, wow. And understanding, though, I when people found out you did that, I always made sure to tell them, Faith did it 100% on her own, right? Mom and Dad didn't co-sign. Mom and Dad didn't give you the down payment. All I did is I started to talk to you and show you about money at a young age, which developed a great work ethic, right? And a right mindset around money, that money's not to be wasted. And you learn that valuable lesson from Jim Rohn about giving value, right? So I think it's a great takeaway there. How excited are you for your next 5 years?
Very excited. I just turned 21, so the next 5 years of my life will be very exciting, very fun. I hope to work hard and make a lot of money.
Okay. Not just make money, but do good things with money. So I hope you guys all enjoyed that story, because I certainly am very proud of her. The family's very proud of her. And I think the great takeaway here is start talking to your kids or your siblings about money. Sometimes people treat money, and I want to say the word sex. People, they don't want to talk about those two things, right? And it's very important that we talk about money all the time and what you're doing with it. Don't be embarrassed and ask questions. It's good. It's good to ask questions about money, what you're doing, maybe if you don't know if you're doing the right things or the wrong things with it. So, Faith, thanks for coming out here. Thanks for doing the show. I know we gave a lot of great value out there. You have any finishing things you want to say to the crowd?
Just thanks so much for listening and for having me here.
Cool. All right. So, guys, if you like what you heard today, please subscribe to the channel. A lot more inspiring stories coming up. So, if you're on the podcast, subscribe. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button and subscribe there also. So, remember, I'll be releasing a new show every Wednesday. So, you guys have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon. Hey everybody, hope you enjoyed that episode. Really enjoyed making all these episodes for you. Remember, we're just having conversations with people's journey with money and the things they did right with it, the things they did wrong with it, and how did they really come about getting their mindset with money. So every episode's different. We all have a good takeaway from them. So do me a favor, hit the like button, smash the like button, and subscribe to my channel, because every episode that I do is going to be different, as all our journeys are different. So you guys take care, and we'll talk to you next week.